Good evening and welcome to the Overwatch Pacific Championship. We're into week 11, the final week of the final round robin of regular season play. I'm Kevin Walker. Joined with me this evening, Matt, Pixie, Carol, and this is it. The end of the road.
We're actually there. I don't believe. Well, actually, more specifically for tonight as well, it's actually the complete end of the road for Blank. So we've still got a weekend of play to go. But actually tonight, after these two games, Blank are done. They are done before playoffs. And I don't know, maybe they'll have some R&R. Maybe they'll actually watch AHQ and Flash Wolves play. Who's to say? But not only are we approaching the end of the road, Blank are about to get off an off-ramp well before us.
Absolutely, and doesn't get any easier for Blank. The matches tonight will be SunSister and Detonator. Following that, there'll be the second place team, second seed team heading into the playoffs. So that's going to be interesting because they do need to face up against Detonator later on. Tonight, like you've said, their final opportunity now to finish their last two games. We're going to have some words now from the two sides.
SST
一生懸命頑張るので応援よろしくお願いします。
他说呢，我们会尽力打完这场比赛的，希望大家能帮我们加油。那我们双方握个手好不好
Alright, so Odin on the right side says,
比赛马上就要开始
we're
了，
going to
把
do
画
our
面
best
交
for the
给
final
分析台。
round robin or the final week of the regular season play. And Serenity was saying on the left, or just the end of it anyway, that they're going to put on a good show tonight. So
It's interesting, isn't it? Because these are the last two games for Blank. It is the two bottom teams in the table as well. They only really have to get it over the line here. But in a weird way, right? This would be like the worst possible place to fail to get it over the line. Because you're right, they have a second place seed coming into playoffs, assuming they drop no matches. But the moment they lose something, they're relying on AHQ to lose to that same team to keep that second place seed. Like right now, I mean, in general, normally it would be a little bit rough to pick up a loss against a team that's, you know, right at the bottom of the table. But tonight it would be absolutely devastating for Blank. Like it would be absolutely. It would be probably the worst thing.
In a lot of ways, because they've now essentially secured that second place. If they drop something, you know, then suddenly AHQ have a shot at stealing that second place off them, which really affects how they're going to prepare into that playoffs as well. They only got a week after this to actually get there. And also on top of that, you've lost to one of the two lowest ranked teams in the competition.
Yeah, you have to call out your parents.
That's not going to do well for your morale and confidence.
Yeah, got to call your parents and try and explain that one away. You know.
Maybe, I don't know. Serenity's
parents
probably right there. I don't know. It is going to be an interesting one. So, you know, aside from that though, it does feel like this is essentially a bit of a smooth ride to sort of finish out the season for Blank. They do get, like I said, the two bottom teams in the competition. These are expected wins at this stage. And essentially for Blank, it's about maybe just upping that score again. And at the very least to prevent themselves from dropping out against AHQ.
Exactly, yeah. And a smooth ride is a good way to put it. But at the same time, it is not an opportunity for Blank to just, you know, kick up their feet and, I don't know, drive with their toes or something. Like, you still have to take these games seriously. That's the thing, right?
Don't text and drive
that's like, you know, there's a saying, run through the finish line, not to the finish line. They have secured that second place seed, provided they win these two games. You can look at it and say, it's the bottom two teams. There should be an easy win. It's the second seed. But that would be, frankly, a poor attitude for Blank to have, to be honest with you. You know, you should always bring your A game, you know, in the first place. But because this would be the most embarrassing and absolutely worst possible place to fail, this is actually one of the places you should probably try your hardest.
Yeah, you definitely want to close out the season with, I would like to say, a bang. You know, something impressive with a blank.
Shoot a blank.
Not a blank. No, you don't want to shoot a blank.
You want to shoot a bang, not a blank.
Exactly. So that's something that they need to be able to sort of patch up. Now, on the other side is SunSister and Detonator. This is also their last weekend. Now, for SunSister, still haven't picked up a win. For Detonator, only picking up wins against SunSister now. SunSister's goal for the final round robin, and I guess kind of overall, is to be able to pick up that one win. And so maybe they'll get that this week and maybe they won't. Anyway, let's take a look at the rosters and the two lineups we have tonight. Going to start with Blank, you know him already, Atar, Trill, Akidi, Gumba, IE Up, and Kiki.
SunSister consisting of XQQ, Zetman, Elu, Night Owl, Mollis, and Odinkin. So kind of sticking with their A team for the time being. This has been the main SunSister squad now for these past two round robins. Had a slightly different squad initially, and have had a few shuffles around, but they certainly seem comfortable now.
Absolutely, you just saw Gunbeard on the left over there as well, and then we're going to have Atar. That's not Atar, that's actually Kiki, so don't mind that.
Oh, no.
You guys should probably get that one changed up in a
That's like-
second. But
that's identity theft,
if you're not
actually.
too sure what he plays, he's predominantly the diva player. Maybe he flexes on something like Isaiah, unexpected. Maybe he even flexes back onto the Winston. Predominantly right now,
Yeah.
I'm expecting just 100% diva out of this guy.
The only time we actually really saw him on the Winston was when they were running triple DPS,
Absolutely.
and we're also popping Trill onto Genji. But they haven't really gone into this. Is very higgledy-piggledy.
Yeah, I think they're going to stick to their normal guns. I mean, I don't expect Blank to... I mean, maybe they do pull out something different specifically for SunSister and Detonator because, I mean, they're just about to go up against the AHQ. They don't want to give away too much to AHQ.
Exactly.
At this stage, so I kind of feel like they're going to do the same thing they've been doing in the past weekend anyway. So if you're AHQ, you might just be able to predict it regardless of the result.
Yeah.
So for Blank, maybe they pull out something different specifically for the Japanese teams as a test for themselves. Can we pull this off? Maybe you hide some strats against AHQ as well.
And that's actually the other big part of this as well. And, you know, along with getting it over the line as well is this notion that we often talk about in these sorts of situations. Highly ranked team against low ranked team.
Yeah.
About hiding strengths. Hiding strengths and avoiding showing weaknesses. And that's those are two separate activities, as odd as that may sound. So hiding strengths is playing slightly, you know, playing different things, playing things that you are still good at and comfortable on, things that have worked in scrims, but things that aren't necessarily your main way of playing. So for a team like AHQ, you know, you're playing for your A game, you know, you pull out your 2-2-2 or you pull out your triple tank. You know, if you're playing a team like this and you're trying to hide your strengths in 2-2-2 and triple tank, you pull out triple DPS, you pull out something else. It doesn't mean you pick Torbjorn on attack and you pick a Hanzo and you go absolutely nuts, right? It does mean you maybe do actually play triple DPS here as Blank. And teams don't actually know if you're going to pull it out in playoffs or not. They don't know whether you've given them relevant data. So you hide your weaknesses.
It's good to keep teams guessing.
Yeah.
Keep everyone on their toes, make sure no one really... Don't become too predictable as a team.
Don't show anything you don't have to.
AHQ kind of fell into that trap a little bit. They got a little bit too predictable as a team.
Tell you what, to that exact end, map pick is going to be Ilios. We've seen Blank go here once before. It was against Fireball. Maybe another time for, but it was against Fireball.
I got a stat for you later.
And it's because, exciting. But Fireball really favored this map for a very long time. Yeah. If they had home side advantage, they would almost always pick Ilios. And now they don't anymore. They've diversified a little. But Blank picked it specifically against them, which was almost a bit of a power play.
This surprises me because right now I say Ilios is Blank's best map across the board. Every map, every game mode, their best map. Now, statistically, I checked this up, so I know I'm correct.
Oh, hello, okay.
8-0 is their scoreline in the OPC on Ilios. They haven't picked it every time, but even if it's picked against them, 8-0, no losses, nothing. They are undefeated specifically on Ilios, and that's important. Because they also now, in their most recent interview, they said this is one of our best maps, if not our best map. I'm
going to have to be a bit of a statistical nitpicker here, though, because the tricky thing with that stat is, of course, they've actually picked up a very small number of losses. We saw the standings up. I believe they've only picked up something like, here we go, 6 losses, right? And in a lot of those situations, actually, they didn't even lose the control map. There were a couple of instances where they got 3-0'd by both AHQ and Flash Wolves. It's the only time they've actually lost control. So that is also a notable thing, is actually their record on most control maps is very close to undefeated, if not entirely so. But that is still an interesting stat to bring up with regards to Ilios, because again, here's this notion of hiding strengths, right? Clearly no team has cracked them on Ilios. Absolutely none, right? And you can feel a little bit confident that SunSister isn't going to be the team that totally figures you out on Ilios. If a team like Fireball, who absolutely adores Ilios, couldn't crack you on it, then you're probably going to be fine here. So you actually still hide that strength.
And that's the difference. I think you need to be able to make a distinction between you adore Ilios and you are actually very good at Ilios. I think Fireball... They like it, right? They like it, but maybe they're not as good as some teams.
It's a good holiday destination.
And yeah, I mean, there's no other people to be able to bother you, and there's just a...
The whole town is just completely for you.
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
Fantastic. Check it out one time.
You can explore the ruins.
For Blank, like they said themselves, one of their best maps, and I like to say it is the best map for them. Best game mode is already Control. And their best map is obviously, it makes sense, it's also on their best game mode. Now, they already beat AHQ on this, the last time they met AHQ, the most recent time. And them revealing it again, I think is interesting because I believe most teams, now specifically talking about AHQ and Flash Wolves, who Blank are likely to go up against now in definitely going up against in the playoffs. Showing this again to them so early, I don't know about that, personally.
See, I think the other side of it, just to kind of speak to what I think the motivation might be, given that you're wondering, if you think about it, they have actually also recently beaten Flash Wolves and AHQ on other control maps. Actually, not quite Flash Wolves, that is slightly incorrect, but they've beaten other teams on control maps. They've beaten other stiff competition as well, teams like Matchy and Hong Kong Attitude. They've beaten them on other control maps like Lijiang Tower, like Oasis. Basically, the control maps we go to more often, right? So, in that regard, if you're AHQ, you're kind of looking at this and going, okay, we know that they can be quite good on Oasis and Lijiang Tower. In fact, the last times we've seen them there, they've won games, and now Blank are going to not let them see that again. So if you're AHQ and you're trying to figure out how you might be able to beat them, well, you're certainly not going to find out from this because they're playing on Ilios.
At the same time, you get a sense of, you get a little bit from a spectator perspective, a good look at what Blank are going to do on this map. It is still SunSister, who, by the way, 5 maps win in the entire tournament. Maybe look to pick one up tonight. It will be unlikely. The opponents are very tough.
Now that is actually the other kind of side of this that we haven't spoken to too much, and we will get an opportunity to, but the opening skirmish already going the way of Blank here. XQQ not really finding much on this Reaper. They are able to get Kiki out of the mech, but look at that. Suddenly the kills will come through because Trill has been on this backside the whole time. No real support coming through for the backliners of SunSister. They cleaned that one up, kept the point through.
They brought out the Reaper, which is interesting because I expected something a little bit quicker out from SunSister. The Genji would have been far better here, specifically because you kind of have to expect Edup's going to play the Widow, and you need something that can flank the Widow. You need something that can directly engage the Widow, and the Reaper's not going to be it. Even the Sombra pick now, a little bit too late.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting to pick the Sombra up now.
Actually, they have the Genji. I'm sorry, but that's something they went for the triple DPS with the Reaper. Excuse me.
Right. Yeah, but actually, just to kind of jump onto the back, oh dear, the Genji already picked off there. To kind of jump on the back of that Sombra, 25 charge was actually built up by the time you mentioned that, and that is not bad, but you're right, you do actually lose out on a little bit of that extra time. Yeah, exactly. You want to have already had that 25%, like, well in advance of that.
Absolutely. So, the first pickup from Reaper wasn't so effective. Edup's now got the infra sight as well, so it's going to be very difficult to get eyes on this person. And 45%, 46 in climbing.
Oh, wow. And exactly, that is the big weakness of Sombra, We know that you've been there all along. We've seen you all along.
And Sticky Bomb doesn't do anything here.
Yeah, Sticky Bomb goes wide from both traces, but Blank are just completely cleaning up. And by the way, this here as well is a classic example of the risk-reward of the Widowmaker. In each of these fights, the Widowmaker has consistently got a pick, sometimes a pick right at the start that has meant that SunSister can't opt to engage, because you can't go into a 5 versus 6 if you're running triple DPS. So this Widowmaker is honestly paying dividends as long as Eat You Up can kill one person per fight, which I guarantee you he can do.
And even more so because SunSister are now stuck in this triple DPS. Odin XQQ's got nothing else to play. He can play Soldier, maybe Reaper again, but he can't go into his Genji pick anymore. Odinkun's on that, and Odinkun has to get off and go into the D.Va, which actually might be better against someone like Eat Up in this sort of position.
Exactly, and it probably is, but they would forgo these ultimates, so you'd give up the one opportunity you have to get back into it based on what you currently have, so that you can maybe go for a different gambit. And honestly, I do appreciate that SunSister is sticking with it, but already getting cleaned up in what is going to be this final fight. And that was just trickled from start to finish,
Absolutely.
Honestly. Night Owl, very, very early catch onto him, and it was all downhill from there for the closing fight.
And you talk about Eat Up getting a kill per fight. He gets more than that. He gets 2 kills. Even in the last fight, look, what was it, like 3 kills even? So, I mean, the guy is stacking them up very heavily. You're not going to see the Widow come out on any of the other stages, but right now, and I said this already, if you're XQQ, not even that, but if you're SunSister, you should have expected the Widowmaker onto on the Ruins, and maybe they did it. Maybe they said, look, we'll run the Reaper. You're less likely to just die directly to the Widowmaker, but I think the answer, the opposite to that is you also can't contest the Widowmaker properly either, and you lose that D.Va to really keep your team alive. You're relying on your Tracer and Genji, who unfortunately couldn't get it done.
Exactly, and the question is, do I run a Widow of my own? How exactly do I deal with this? And it does seem that
they're already behind on Infrasight, which is a big problem.
It does seem that SunSister were maybe even a little bit caught by surprise with that, or at the very least their plan did not quite work. But now on chance to redeem themselves here. Going to immediately change off this triple DPS, and hello indeed.
What is this? Okay, so we're seeing a little bit something different here. Atar is actually playing the Ana. Gumba is actually on the Winston himself, so this is
what we call hiding strength. This is actually exactly what Flash Wolves did the other week against, I believe, SunSister. So, or maybe
they did a little bit more. What is it? What is the word I'm looking for? They did it in a lot more weirder way. Like Zondo was on a support and stuff.
It's only a slight deviation here for Blank because Trill actually has played DPS before. Gunbo has formerly been a tank player as well. This isn't too out of the ordinary, but This is actually different to what they normally run, make no mistake. So this is exactly that notion of hiding strength here.
Like-
Like, you can't tell how to shut down their Ana player based on this, because ATAR's not going to be playing Ana in the playoffs.
It's actually interesting you bring up Gumba playing tank, because he played tank briefly before Trill came in and took that role off him, so that was the change-up.
Yeah, he has played it on previous teams, but you know, that's at this point it's actually so long ago, and you're right, hasn't really played it much on this team. But in any case, now SunSister once again are actually struggling to get onto this point at all. They're really even just struggling to get this ult economy going up in their favor now with this Nano Visor. Actually, not even going to commit that just yet, Blank. They're just going to go straight in with the Primal Rage to try and displace SunSister on their way in. It's already worked. They've managed to pick off Mollis. Finally going to be able to commit a Nano Boost onto this. No Tac Visor to come out. Here we go. Finally for XQQ is able to commit and does get a couple, but already the cleanup coming in response from ATAR. And SunSister should be getting cleaned off this one once again.
And the return of Eat Up on Soldier as well. This is something that I guess some people would have been really waiting for. He hasn't played Soldier because you need to keep him on the Tracer. He's been one of the most dominant Tracers in the competition. Now he's back on the Soldier. How good is he on this, and can he flex against other teams too? I think that's also a question.
So Miss Trill's going like, all right, it's all right, buddy. I'll let you have a Soldier game today. I'll play the Tracer for once.
Yeah.
But you're right, that is the necessity of Tracer. Double sound barrier to come out now flanks this next fight, which what could be the final fight here with Blank already at 75%. Self-destruct out for Kiki. We'll see what that's able to catch as it forces the ultimate out of Zetman, and Odinkin is also committing his own self-destruct here. Actually, Kiki fails to get back in the mech there. That's a little unfortunate. Actually, I think he got back in and got popped anyway. Yeah, Eat Up didn't die, but like are on the run from this one. And actually, SunSister do have an opportunity to get onto this. However, Trill is continuing to harass this backside. Odinkin's been forced back off. Gunba has rejoined the fight. That's a decent boot kill onto Trill, actually. Gives them some room to breathe. But honestly, SunSister just got cleaned up off the back of that one, even when they had a numerical advantage.
Absolutely, and not only did they have a numerical advantage off of kills, but they pushed Eat Up out, and he was on no health. He had to find HP, run himself back into the fight.
Exactly.
So Blank was seriously down. Gumba turned around with a couple of kills of his own.
And now
Gunba,
now Gunba is powered up and he's going to get in there. Here's going to be the Nano Visor to come up from XQQ. This is the one opportunity. They've finally got the combo assembled, but they're having a hard time of it. Kiki just blocking most of that up. He only gets one kill for it, and Trill had already traded one back here. Now Gunba going deep, still on this Winston.
Good pickup.
Good catch indeed onto EU up the sleep and Helix Rocket. So SunSister still have an opportunity, but even so, once again, they are just getting cleaned up time and time again. This is looking to be a second 100-0 here for Blank.
It's a really unfortunate one for SunSister because they had a couple of advantages there, like you sort of mentioned. They were able to get themselves ahead, but they couldn't close it out, and Blank always had options. They always had the ability to bring it back, and so they did.
Yeah, exactly. Just sort of by the way, you know, because we were talking about this beforehand, look, SunSister and Detonator both, much as Blank are headed to playoffs, SunSister and Detonator are both headed to relegation. So any kind of map win, any kind of good pickup here, even if it's not going to affect anything in the standings, right? Any kind of morale boost here is huge going into that promotion relegation tournament. These teams have been able to play against some of the best teams in Asia Pacific for now 11 whole weeks, right? Naturally, that gives you an edge over some of the teams they will face in the promotion and relegation tournament. But you also want to have demonstrated fully that you have indeed learned something. You want to show your improvement here and now before going into that tournament.
And make no mistake, SunSister are still looking for a map. When they may be looking to find it here, it's unlikely, but they're not going to give it up that easily. They want to show their best hand here.
Speaking of I Eat You Up, finally going to be able to live up to his namesake potentially if he can actually eat up some pulse bombs here. And also this is the RQT special going on to the May, but already Gunba getting picked out by the Helix Rocket from XQQ. SunSister actually off to a good start of this one, but there we go, RQT, great right
not bad.
Yeah, great right click from RQT to secure out Mollis, evens up the score now as Blank get themselves set up to the point, and this is where the May really shines, when you are actually on the point where you have that priority and that advantage, and now it's all going to be SunSister trying to siege onto this.
What's interesting as a little bit of tidbit is I believe ATAR is actually their third support player if they want to go with triple support, so the fact that he's not doing too badly on Ana, he actually does practice the Ana specifically for that composition, so and that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, we did see triple support out of these guys once briefly, much like we saw it out of Flash Wolves very briefly as well, in which case Zonda was their Ana, but you're absolutely right there. So, I mean, this does, in a weird way, this does show something, and again, technically Trill has played DPS when they've done triple DPS, but yeah, this is a spicy kind of Blank.
It is, and Blank are running a one DPS composition where Trill needs to do the majority of the damage. RQT is going to be a pseudo sort of DPS in it, but most likely just to harass it. Something to really just annoy SunSister, and picks are slightly even, but Trill's actually getting one.
Yeah, wow. That was, it was an even Winston trade, but yeah, honestly, picking off Night Owl on the end of that, that's the, excuse me, that is the Nano Boost gone out of the picture. ATAR still has his. They can still commit it. There we go. It goes down onto RQT. Yeah. This is actually surprisingly powerful, right? Because the freeze does also do damage, but normally it's, you know, it's the freeze effect itself that does the work. But when you can get the extra damage out of the freeze, it can be devastating. ATAR forced a little bit off to the side, has to commit the bio grenade, but again, SunSister, they're committing to this a little bit staggered. Oh, good explosion by E2 will actually catch someone in that. Now Trill trading back onto Nida. Once again, that's the second time in a row. He has had absolutely no chance to use that ultimate. Zetman out of the ult form now gives Blank a window to siege back onto this point, pick him off, take him out, but the mech down. Mollis is actually starting to do work. SunSister, they may actually get a chance to get back on this, but honestly, Blank are not giving it up easy.
It's already on to 80%. I was actually going to mention RQT's hitting a surprisingly low amount of icicles, that being headshots or not headshots, so that's something that's kind of affecting his own personal damage output, but Trill's kind of running unimpeded, and Gumba's actually doing a really decent job on the Winston-wise, just knowing where to be, picking up kills for himself, and XQQ is the main person on SunSister that's actually getting the return kills. If it's not him, SunSister aren't really getting kills.
Yeah, and there he is actually picking up 2 now on the point itself, but once again, actually, this time Night Owl was able to get the boost off, had to commit it to the tank, Zetman, but already he's out of the picture. And look, Blank, as much as it seems like the fight is starting to swing the way on the point itself, the other half of Blank is actually around the backside, harassing SunSister, stopping them from reinforcing. 300-0 shutouts in a row with Blank, all playing off rolls. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to say anything more about that.
Oh, I mean, the first one ruins. It was kind of expected, both outcome and also composition, strategy, everything, playstyle out of Blank. Everything else from then. You look at Well, you look at Lighthouse as well. Everyone's off-classing. It's not really out of the blue. When you do go to Lighthouse, so the mate coming out.
How is this play the game Trill? It has Gunba as Winston.
The reason that is because it takes whatever the top bar is whatever the last people playing was. So that was off Lighthouse.
Was he briefly Winston on that map?
No, he wasn't. So that was on Lighthouse.
Oh, right. Okay.
Don't worry about that. It's just engineering stuff. Don't worry about it.
I thought
just Overwatch fellas. Don't worry about that.
Illuminati was
but what I was trying to talk about is the fact that Blank are able to sort of pull out those 100-0s despite going off rolls. They're not terribly off rolls, like I said, Trill, no, rather not Trill, but ATAR does pick up the Ana when they run the triple support, but otherwise they don't. He doesn't go on the support. So, and Gumba, he used to be a tank player, but that was so long ago. That was like 6 months plus
and
ago.
And Trill has done triple DPS, but he was the Genji, not the Tracer.
Exactly.
And,
so it is a bit, still a little bit weird.
It's half there, but the other half not.
Yeah, and then you got guys like RQT, who we know he plays a Mei, but I'm going to be really honest, every time he's brought up the Mei, not super successful. Now that was against some of the better teams, so you can even see here, I kind of just noticed, I didn't see a lot of right-click headshots, not a lot of that stuff going on. When XQQ brings out the Mei, he's not super successful either, but he does just get those kills sometimes. They don't happen too often, but they will happen. It didn't really happen for RQT. It didn't really matter though, the other 5 members are doing enough of the job. Also, he was disrupting SunSister enough to allow his allies to really be enabled that it didn't make a difference at the end of the day.
It was still better than Sinkler's McCree.
Was it better? Sinkler's McCree
I don't know.
was insane.
Sinkler's McCree was
actually really good.
It was deeply entertaining, I have to say. I don't know how many of you caught that match actually with Flashful Sinkler playing the McCree, because he would hit the flashbang, right? And then he would miss the headshot. But then they'd start moving again, and there'd be more distance, and then he'd hit headshot.
Not even that. He'd get a headshot on a guy on the other side of the map.
Then someone would be flashbang. He'd miss and get a headshot like on someone else completely. It was entertaining, to say the least.
It was. There was
Hook, line, and Sinkler.
That was. I wanted to play Hog one time just for that, but that's Flashfuls, and they're scary on their own. And right now, Blank, I think the fact that Blank are able to do this is something else. Now, what's interesting is that was Blank's A best map and B best game mode. That out of the way. Yeah. I don't know that Blank are going to be able to really pull that off with success.
No, absolutely not.
I think they are still favored to win, no matter what they sort of pull out, as long as it's not too ridiculous. But can they win 100-0 with that kind of composition?
Probably not.
I'm going to say probably not, because they're not going to be on their best map or their best game mode.
And also, when you are playing those off rolls, when you're playing those off picks, you're doing things like that. Actually, that is an opportunity for teams to pick up wins, because there's a reason those things aren't run. It's because they're counterable. It may be SunSister who have yet to pick up a win, but look, they're not stupid. They could counter it. So this is exactly what I meant when I said at the top of the night about making sure you do still bring your A game to these sorts of games. Even if your B game may suffice, you certainly don't bring your C game or lower, right? You bring your A game, because any loss here would actually be crippling for you. You do only have that second place slot by a slim margin. Don't do anything you don't need to do. Just go ahead, take the win, play standard, and simple.
And when we talk about loss here, we're talking about a whole match loss. Now, that would be devastating.
Absolutely.
A map loss, that's recoverable.
A map loss.
In fact, I think for Blank, they would be sort of in the same position as maybe AHQ, well, definitely in the same position as AHQ and Flashwolves, in that a map loss not really going to impact things at the end of the day. It will impact maybe your own morale. It will impact the fact that, if you wanted a perfect record, you're not going to get that with a map loss. It'd be great for SunSister though if they can pick up imagine they get their first map win, not the first map win, but it'll be their first map win versus blank, which would be huge.
Yeah, versus the top 3 team, absolutely. Well, the only thing with that, the only real risk you run with that map loss is sometimes that can spiral a little bit out of control. So you don't want to end up in that situation if you don't have to, and that's the reality of it. But again, there's no need to put yourself in that position anyway. I mean, it goes without saying, like it's all just about being sensible here. Keep a level head. Play your beats, you don't have to play, the absolute best thing you're ever going to run because, again, you do want to hide some of those strategies, you do want to hide some of those strengths, but look, just play something that is solid, that works. Yeah, look, maybe do flex onto the triple DPS, like we were saying before, something good that works in scrims that you don't pull out all that often. Run that one through, get yourself over the finish line, and then sit back, relax for the rest of the weekend, and start prepping for finals.
I actually think, going on to the other side, which is the SunSister side, what do they do better here against blank? What do they do better in general? Because their best shot at taking a match win, which they desperately want, is against Detonator, who, by the way, are going to play blank next.
Yes.
So that's interesting because this is a good unit of measurement for both these Japanese teams to say, how do we do versus blank? How do the other guys do versus blank? Now, if you're SunSister right now, I actually think one of their best win conditions is off XQQ, and you see that versus blank. I said he was one of the few people that really get the kills, and everyone else sort of depends on him for that. And he is the main carrier of the team, so that makes sense. Now, I actually think they need to play more off that, which is to say, maybe put him back on the McCree, something explosive, because the Soldier, it's great, it's safe, it's stable, but it's not gonna. The troughs, the peaks and troughs are sort of just not really there. The peaks aren't really there, the troughs aren't really there. If you go on McCree, you get that massive peak. Maybe that's where SunSister are actually going to win. And I think that's what they need. They need an explosive peak.
And I think that's actually not a bad idea at all. Interesting here. SunSister have got the next map picked through. We're going to Numbani. This is interesting to say the least. Definitely not afraid. This is kicking the Romans out of Rome, as it were.
Well, you'll try anyway.
Yeah. You'll see if you can.
Barbarians did it eventually, so not saying there's any barbarians here, but in the sense of the analogy,
the Vandals and all that.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And I will be honest, Elu he had a bit of the eyeliner going on, might be leaning goth-wise. We'll see how this goes. But for those who don't really know their history, like that would have sounded completely absolutely nuts. Like
save yourself a little on that.
What do the goth kids have to do with Romans? Like those edgy teenagers around the corner, they're like. Anyway.
So Numbani is another chance for RQ2 to actually bring out May again.
May, yeah.
That's where he normally brings it out. He normally brings it out here, if they do it all. It's a bit of he only brings it out if it's like, one of those situations where I would say it's either desperation or they really want to throw a spanner in the works.
And exactly, and that's actually what it is in the other half. One of the most notable times I remember him playing it actually was in the Summer Series Finals. So this was a very serious match against Silla Esports at the time, and he pulled it out. He pulled it out on defense first point of Numbani, and it did work because it was exactly that. It did throw a bit of a spanner in the works. It meant that most of the attack time was spent by Silla figuring out exactly how to deal with specifically this May. Now, I expect that time will be a little bit shorter in these situations, but look, if you're going to run a pick going, look, all we're going to do here is try and run down the clock as best we can because we respect this team, that's not always a bad idea, and it is a pocket pick.
Just to give a bit of a context to that history lesson of itself as well, is that was back when the tank meta was the heavily favored meta. That was when Silla was specifically a triple tank team. They didn't run very much anything else, and so May was a specific counter to the triple tank meta. Now that we're in more of a DPS meta, you also saw the triple DPS come out of SunSister, so we know they're not scared of bringing out the triple DPS if they want to do that. I don't really recommend it for them, but maybe it is another way they can actually win the game. Like I said, peaks and troughs, they need to really hit one of those peaks to really win a game. So maybe that is the way to go, but May doesn't really counter that anymore. It's more like a weird pick coming out from IQT. What I actually expect here is maybe for IQT to even pull out the Torbjorn when blank get on that defense.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably a more likely pick out.
And that has lately been the bill of fare anyway. Honestly, just Torbjorn has become quite standard on these first point defenses, and if I'm not mistaken, we are actually seeing one. Yeah, here we go. Interesting placing the turret down here. Does not have the spotted turret down for Farah. Sombra.
And, actually, never mind. That was...
Blank
were testing me for a second. Now, SunSister are actually going to be running the 12 and interestingly, they're going to go for the hog, so it is a triple. It is a triple tank, and okay, one of the picks from Blank that I thought was weird is actually happening.
Yeah,
now, this is
I thought the Sombra was going to stay, not the Bastion.
I get this because this is the Bastion strat where you put up a shield, put the Bastion on there on the other side, and he's just rains.
It's a high ground play. It's
bullets.
exactly what you do with Soldier, but higher risk, higher reward, right? The higher risk, you don't have the mobility, your self heal's less reliable. The higher reward, you have more damage. If it does go off, you're going to absolutely flatten the other team.
Absolutely.
Let's see how it goes.
And I like the response from SunSister. I do like the response, however, not a very successful response. They need to be able to get in and get out very quickly as well. That was a good biotic grenade. That's actually going to allow time for SunSister to get that reinforcement in there. Otherwise, they were going to play 6v5.
Yeah, EUP is doing his best to try and get harassment around this side onto Night Owl, but again, to his credit, Mollis is doing a really good job of actually keeping that hallway on lockdown. So this Bastion is really the only threat they have to deal with. They're actually dealing with EUP, but that is a great one onto Zetman, who really did not respect the damage output there. Reposition now to get better sight lines. They're going to try and pin down these members here to catch the turret, and now trying to get Elo himself. All these members really struggling to get onto this guy, and while Mollis is busy with EUP, he's actually not getting any closer to this Bastion around the side either. So currently ATAR still having free reign, has to get out of this one, bit of self-heal now. This is the most intense Bastion, and he does indeed have tank mode. Here it goes, onto the point, tank time. Let's see what he can get. But he's
that's not where you want to go.
Right into the self-destruct. Whole Hog is there as well. RQT picking up the res. And this is actually a really unfortunate spot for ATAR to be. I was going to say, he can't reposition, and with that tag visor running, he's down and out for count. Blank may just want to back off here. SunSister can reinforce themselves. Molten Core is up. RQT needs to try and get out of this one. He's not going to be quite so lucky. Let's see if Blank stick with this.
Here's the problem with Blank's, the way they played that is, SunSister I kind of feel like they played the defense a little bit too panicky, because the correct response to the Bastion is you don't actually want to give them the sight lines. You can actually back up, because Blank actually have to cap themselves. If they're not going to cap, you don't have to worry about that. They're wasting their own time. They're bleeding down the clock. And then when Blank actually commit members on the cap, then you've split Blank's team up, and that's when you can actually attack them.
Speaking of splitting the team up, getting that catch onto AU up, who hadn't retreated, was really, really big for them, because now there isn't... here we go. Mollis isn't tied up on the side like he was in the last fight. He did. And a great knockoff there by Kiki to sort of push him out of the picture there. So Mollis is going to have to kind of go into retreat here. Now Kiki committing his own self-destruct, forces SunSister to duck for cover. Does get the turret, pick onto Zetman now as ATAR. He's over onto the Soldier. Yeah, this is going to be an absolute cleanup already. That was a great use of the Diva Mech to force the position. Now Odinkin going to try and contest, but while he's up there, Blanka behind him on the point, cleaning up the kills, capping the point, getting the payload underway.
And you can see as soon as Blank actually go onto the Soldier, they're a lot more successful. I think what it is with Blank is, I noticed this in general, this is a big takeaway for everybody that sort of sees this, and even for SunSister, is whenever Blank play, what I like to say is maybe a pocket strat or something that's very specific, like we're playing a Bastion, we're playing a Sombra, we're playing around this one strat. I don't think Blank really play it that well, because they're so focused on this one win condition that they're not really exploring everything else out there. And you notice as soon as they go into Soldier, realistically, you're not doing that much different. You're putting the Soldier where you'd put the Bastion, but Blank play the entire thing differently. It's a team mentality kind of thing that they change.
It's like when a Freeze Mage is waiting for the spells, and they don't realize they got lethal on board. You're completely right. That is a...
That's lethal.
Oh my god.
That is lethal right there.
Trill smasher of good ults, guys. Oh, retweet that one for good ults all season. That was beautiful. That was the dream Earth Shatter combined with a Pulse Bomb. Absolutely clean up SunSister, just short. Oh no, they still got the Gong actually. I thought they might not, because Elo respawned, but look, the payload is still moving. Chill is going to make sure of that.
Delivered to them on a silver platter as well. Zetman nowhere to be found, no bubbles, no nothing.
Oh boy.
The team were just sort of, SunSister was sort of roughly grouped together, just grouped together enough that he can actually land the hammer onto everybody. It wasn't like they were split up.
That was jump scare Trill right there. Like, he's behind you all along. Big commit here by Blank, though, as they've kind of run the sound barrier and this tactical visor out. And actually, it's already paying off for them, despite the good commit out of Zetman with that nano boost on him. ATAR forced off the high ground there, and Kiki great positioning force with that mech going out. No Earth Shatter available just yet, but look, Trill is just in this, swinging the hammer, eat you up, cleaning up, and the payload is not really getting all that stopped at all.
This is getting to the stage where Blank running through fairly, I would say, kind of easily here. Get the change up from ATAR actually onto the Genji now, and Trill's actually going to bring out the Soldier. So, hey, fellas, back into triple DPS Blank. This is kind of a bit of a throwback
Yeah, interesting that they're putting ATAR
Wow,
on the...
Kiki on Winston as well. This is a huge throwback.
Yeah, hello. This is also ATAR on the Genji rather than Trill. So this is kind of interesting because ATAR's Genji is very good, but lately he has had a bit of trouble actually connecting these Dragon Blades out. Eat you up. Going deep with this bomb, but he doesn't really catch anything with it. Kiki out of the picture means the backline is actually exposed. This is the opportunity now for SunSister to go on the aggressive. Unfortunately, Trill was a little bit overextended around the side, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him get kind of run down there.
Excuse the technical difficulties as we're trying to get the match along, but that was... It is interesting to see Blank pull out the triple DPS again, because we were always wondering, is this something they go back to? It's always in their back pocket. It's always available to them. The first team in the OPC to, I would say, kind of master the triple DPS to really not only bring it out, but show everyone how it's kind of done.
And this is exactly the match where we said this was a very real possibility.
Also the first team to kind of put it back away when Flashfuls kind of came out swinging and said, we're going to try and look to counter that. We did. And then Blank ever since then is saying, look, I don't know if we're comfortable doing this. So it's good that Blank have kept it in their back pocket as a potential tool.
Match looks to be back underway as well, so hopefully we're going to be going back to that in just a second. Here we go, and we get right into the thick of an XQQ Dragon Blade that does seem to have finally stopped up Blank in a significant sense, and this is the volatility of that triple DPS. You know, they did actually lose Kiki at the top of that, so I believe this is just a cleanup of that last fight.
And really, this is SunSister's best lineup as well. Them running the Zenyatta Tracer Genji dive, I think is SunSister's best possible composition. You get the Genji, which is still relatively safe compared to the McCree, and you get those peaks on Genji that you don't get on Soldier as well.
This is actually a really great one here. As much as ATAR is committing this Dragon Blade, honestly, the self-destruct cut off a lot of his team. The Transcendence is really counting out the Dragon Blade. Now he's left right in the face of Zetman's Winston. Did catch Elu in that one, and now actually Zetman forced back. Unfortunately, his Eat You Up was able to pick him off. He nearly had that kill closed out, and I believe had he closed that out, that could have actually been the sign for Blank to crumble, but instead the volatility goes the other way for them. They get underway. EU Up is just waiting to land a pulse bomb here. Here we go.
Oh, this is
nearly
just
got
built.
Night Owl. That would have been so brutal though, just floating out of the base right into a pulse bomb, and they're absolutely rousing them. They are so stuck in this base. Trill on the side as well with his tech visor is keeping it on knockdown. Blank looks set to push this one over the finish line here. Only a few meters left, only a few members alive for SunSister. One pick off at the end won't be enough, and the cap will go through just under a minute.
Fairly quick from Blank. Not lightning speed. They still were running things that they haven't done for a while.
They've got somewhere to be, but they're not speeding.
Exactly. You got somewhere to be, but you know you got good time to make
you are dead on the speed limit. Not a kilometer above or below.
You'll get to your destination early, if anything. You'll be 10 minutes early, enough time for a loo and a cup of tea. So
you are exactly legal. Wow. Like who? I'm sorry. Who is drinking their tea at like boiling temperature?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. Some
like
people
you go to the bathroom. We're talking like 3 minutes there, right? You boil the kettle. That's another 2 minutes. You let the tea brew. That's probably another 2 to 3 minutes. So what? You just drink a boiling hot cup of tea in the next 2 minutes?
Oh, like I said, you got somewhere to go, and right now,
I don't have time for room temperature tea.
See, I do want to get back to Blank for a second there. I think we're going to King's Road. No, sorry. We are.
Wow, that's a reference.
I do want to get to Blank in a second, and it's interesting that they are experimenting. Like we kind of said, I kind of said during the pre-matches, what will they pull out in terms of experimentation? How far horizontally will this team really go to kind of, I guess, show what they can actually bring out? Yeah. And it's interesting that they do go there. Now, what is a little bit concerning is they did bring the Bastion out, and the fact that that didn't work, and it didn't work because, not because SunSister countered it well. I actually think SunSister countered it badly, but rather that it was poorly executed by Blank. And also, like, the tank form into the self-destruct, unlucky. That's very unfortunate. But aside from that, that shouldn't have been the nail in the coffin for that competition.
And that's the thing, like, the reason I actually, like I said, equated it to doing the exact same thing, but with Soldier, higher risk, higher reward. But Soldier comps aren't completely reliant on just the Soldier in that situation. It's not set up the Soldier, protect them completely and kill everything. Like, you do still have a Tracer doing damage on the target. You do still have a Diva who can dive a little bit and harass and displace. So you're completely right there. It was maybe a little bit of tunnel vision on that one strat.
They did, because they said, look, all we're going to do here, our main thing is just going to protect the Bastion. That's what everyone did. As soon as they brought out the Soldier, no one said, look, we're just going to protect only the Soldier. Everyone went and got kills.
Look at what they're going to do here, though. Another
I did notice that, and it is the only thing that I find weird about this is maybe the Mercy pick, but at the same time, I don't know, they can sort of flex it.
So this is interesting. I actually quite like this because one of the weaknesses of Orisa is high armor, no self-heal, right? And she does have a massive, massive head hitbox. And it's not as big an issue as it is with Reinhardt. Oh, sorry, it's not as big an issue with Reinhardt, rather, as it is with Orisa. So by running the Orisa, you get a little bit of extra damage. You are able to, like, you need the second healer really with the Orisa, and then you're able to have the Torbjorn in there as well. It's an interesting way of trying to pull this one off, because that's where some of your extra damage is by not having the second DPS.
And actually, we talk about interesting ways to pull things off. SunSister, the reason why they're running the Hanzo, at least one reason I can think of off the top of my head, is it will go through both the shields. If you get the Dragon Strike out, suddenly both the shields on Blank don't make any sense. It doesn't really matter. The problem is you got to get that Dragon Strike, and everything else before that, none of your arrows are actually going to do damage, enough damage that is to the shields themselves.
You're actually completely right. And by the way, this is a really basic mechanical thing you can do with Orisa. And I'm only mentioning this because I know a lot of people haven't actually played her. We don't see a lot of her in pro play. But of course, the right click is a great displace, and because the shot is a projectile, what you can do is... Oh, wow.
What is...
I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I was talking about in a moment. But yeah, there's no res yet for IQT. He's desperately trying to get it off for the likes of Trill, but...
Modus deflected the Fire Strike from AVRL. I was about to say Dragon Strike, and I'm like, no, they're not running Hanzo on defense.
But SunSister have so far failed to capitalize. They're only just getting on the point now, and honestly, there's still heaps of time for Blank to kind of recommit. The members have respawned, and now look at this. Ilios is just able to throw out a tactical visor. Some of it gets deflected, but he cleans up anyway. What on earth happened there? It's like SunSister weren't expecting to get those kills, so when they got them, they went, oh, let's not go anyway.
Well, this is kind of like what we saw on Ilios, right? SunSister had a couple of advantages. They had moments where you said, this is advantage time for SunSister. They're actually ahead now, but Blank are able to turn it around. And it's A, because it's Blank, and B, because SunSister, like you said as well, aren't able to capitalize, and that's a problem.
That was honestly a total failure to launch. It's like you're at a full stop, you're at a light, you had the lights right. It's a red light, it goes to green, you're like, oh, I didn't even see that. Or like the light was green, and like you hadn't started your car yet. And you're like, oh, I couldn't possibly go. Like, all right,
that's the Dragon Strike we're talking about.
This is the bigger commit. This is the one they were actually wanting to go for. The Dragon Strike and the Dragon Blade. Shimada brothers out in full force. And they do actually get the full record kills. But
nice,
here's the res.
Doesn't get eat up though.
Doesn't catch Trill, and Eat You Up went down just after it, so already IQT picked off. Good catch onto XQQ, but honestly, it's just going to be these tanks, Sans, healers getting cleaned up. The bongo drum is down though, and let's see if Kiki can drop a sick beat with it. Self-destruct
That's one way to get rid of it.
Knocks the bongo out of the picture. Kiki as well, soon to follow. And actually now SunSister are on this point. Should be able to get it underway. They just need to clean up Atar, who is fighting valiantly, but it is a lost hope here now as they force everyone else off this point. Oh, no way.
You would expect a cap here.
Hold on, you would, but Mullis just died. The Transcendence is coming in late, and Eat You Up is actually uncontested. He's staying safe still. This is absolutely absurd. Blank are actually in a position to fight back because the respawns have come in. The tactical visor is here now, and they can't block up all of it. I don't believe what's happening. Oh, that is a good
Spoke too soon again.
Spoke too soon. Yeah, one last time. I will speak too soon. Thank you very much. SunSister are actually losing a lot of members here. They still do need to clean up, notably Kiki, who they're struggling with. They finally get it. There's the cap. Oh, here we go.
Well, there it is. They get it done at the end of the day.
I didn't even get to talk about my Orisa thing. What I was going to say is you can, because of the projectile of the shot, you can basically preload your right click. So you right click and then you shoot it where the right click is going to be, and you catch someone and they will get hit by shots, and you can call that and your team can be ready to shoot that location, and you can actually insta-give someone like a squishier DPS by doing that. And it's actually quite a powerful.
What also it does is, specifically on the first point in Numbani, and I guess other places, is you get rid of the high ground
Pulls cover.
very easy. You pull them out of cover, pull them off the high ground, really remove the positioning, but we're already onto the streets phase. And actually SunSister, positionally, this is great. And the stick as well doesn't get the kill.
Yeah, I thought that was actually stuck. I didn't quite see that, but that was still good zoning at least, and they are taking full advantage of that. Look at this positioning out of SunSister. They need to be careful to not overextend here. That is exactly what they've done now, as Odin can lose his mech. The card is moving, but SunSister are on now a scattered retreat as they're looking to get absolutely routed here. Atar already cleaning up. Odin could Eat You Up, putting a lot of damage down. And SunSister, they may be able to retreat to the cart, but Blank are now going to take a fight there instead, clean them up, and suddenly SunSister look quite the fool.
A huge amount of kills coming up from Atar as well. He's really, I would say, probably the main Genji player of the team now. Trill kind of shared that role with him, but I would say Atar is absolutely taking charge of the Genji. And also, I want to say the Soldier as well. This is one of the few times where we don't see Eat Up on the Tracer. Soldier Genji is a composition I talked about in the past, but it's probably the most uncommon of the sort of mix of DPSs that we see here between Soldier, Genji, Tracer.
Yeah, by the way, this is actually exactly what we were talking about with Blank. Just, stick to your guns, get it over the line. Great sleep, by the way, onto that nano boost. Mollis not really getting much more success with his own nano boost, unfortunately, as there we go, kill for kill on the both soldiers, but it is still SunSister coming out the worst. Beware from that. More damage is down, and look, they're not even able to get back to the payload up to where they pushed it. That is how well this defense has been going for Blank.
Certainly very impressive so far, and SunSister still looking for options. They're actually opting for Soldier Genji themselves. So it's the Soldier Genji show, and just to say that Edup's going to change back into the Tracer, that's going to be self-destruct, picks up nothing, and maybe one kill. Should give an opening to SunSister, but they've had bigger openings before.
That was actually a very good dive, though, by Zetman to catch out Kiki before he can get back into the back. And SunSister have tools to play with. Zetman is going to be able to commit an ult here in a moment here. She'll actually committed his first. Odinkun, he's able to get back into the make. That is good news for them. Good pick onto Night Owl, though, to kind of turn this one around a little bit. And SunSister do need to convert some kills through. An honorable duel between the two dead Shimadas there. No one coming out the worst for it. They just kind of back off.
Running out of time.
There. Running out of time indeed, but the payload's actually on the cusp of going through. Just a few more kills cleaned up, and they will have this one. It's a good pick up onto Atar. RQT as well out of the picture. Ichu up and now has a lot of weight on his shoulders, but he has the pulse bomb. It gets Odinkun's mech, which is unfortunate a moment later, and he would have been able to kill Odinkun himself, but he gets Zetman anyway. Atar able to clean up Mollis, and now they're looking set to turn this fight back around. XQQ going to try for a last-ditch attack visor here, but the overtime is ticking down. XQQ is dead. Elu can't even make the mad dash for it, and SunSister will get held up. Blank put themselves 2-0 on the board.
Tell you what, you made Blank go back to their normal composition. You made Edup go back onto the Tracer, and when Edup goes on the Tracer, this is his power. Even when you see Blank start to lose members, maybe they start to lose positioning. There was a scary moment there. The self-destruct came down. Gumba had to hide. He got killed immediately after that. Edup came on through. Got the pulse down. Yeah, he got the mech. He got Zetman on the side as well. And then he picked up the rest of the kills. And this is why the guy...
How long was he on Tracer for? And
I don't know.
He got player of the game.
Like 5 seconds.
Oh, right. No, is this one with the Earth Shatter, actually? That would make sense.
But on the defense as well, you're right, because he just respawned his Tracer. He comes back and immediately shows his worth on that hero. Just instantly.
Yeah. He also had, like, gold eliminations there. You just briefly saw the card come up. I don't normally pay attention to those, but like, given that we're talking about it, gold elims, he had 40.
Get that 150 XP.
I can't even get 40 in like my casual games.
40 elims.
Yeah.
Just
like if I played SunSister, I would not get 40 elims.
And he was on a Rissa for a decent
It doesn't help
amount of
that I'm a heal main.
That part is probably not going to
really,
assist you on getting those
I have got silver elims as Ana before.
I will say something, and this is, I guess, the variables are consistent here because Blank did run strange-ish lineups throughout on Ilios and also now on Numbani, but SunSister's performance on Numbani, stark difference to that, or at least result-wise, from Ilios. On Ilios, 300-0 shutout across 3 stages. On Numbani, they got a first cap. They actually pushed on through for the majority of the streets section as well. So in terms of a comparison there, I would say this has been a better map for SunSister all in all.
Yeah, yes and no, just to kind of play devil's advocate here a little, because they did actually struggle to get it over the line on that first point. They did do it eventually, and it was well done when that happened, and also Blank, they were doing that, you know, like they were sort of recommitting to the fight where I feel like against a lot of teams they actually would have opted to back off. They kind of went for a last-ditch effort in case it paid off, and actually sometimes, against SunSister it does pay off, but that time it didn't. So that is actually a very real mark of improvement for SunSister. I will absolutely give them credit for that, but there was also a little bit of rockiness in it, and there was the opportunity they had before that with a huge triple kill by XQQ. That is a 6 versus 3, and they just...
That was Mollis.
Yeah, sorry, you're completely right, by Mollis. But they just didn't press the go button. They absolutely did not press the go button, and... I mean, so like, why not? You know, they were all there.
So
they
still
were pretty much ready to
some
go.
of the same mistakes, but they did all that and more in Ilios, which is what I'm trying to get to.
And overall improvement is completely fair.
The biggest thing here, and it's not like, well, they obviously did a little bit better. What the biggest takeaway for me was, look, Blank tried to run a few strats here, and legitimate too. They're not illegitimate stats. You see here again, sort of a replay of the Bastion. This should have been a push that really worked for Blank. You know, it's like you've already said, it's not that much different.
Off to a good start.
It's not that much different to running the Soldier. It's roughly the same idea. It's not as safe as running the Soldier. It's not as mobile as running the Soldier, but ultimately the same idea. And Blank couldn't execute this. Blank had to change on the Soldier. As soon as they did, cool, that's when they got everything done. That was really unfortunate death, but I also mentioned that shouldn't have been the death that cost them the entire
Because
push.
he was the only one.
And he got rezzed.
And they had a numbers advantage even with him dying there.
And
so
he rezzed. So I mean, his death didn't even matter because it was like he didn't die. He died after the res anyway, which is an issue in and of itself. So
the res is a little bit of an iffy thing,
so
just because the Bastion wasn't in an ideal position to set back up. But you're
the
not.
point,
You're not
the point
wrong,
is
really.
he came back alive and he was still part of that fight. He had
and
two lives.
they should have by rights been able to win. You're
The
quite
second
right.
part of that is also when you look at their defense, and they did run the Orisa Torbjorn. Now, that's not an unusual thing. Teams do that. Maybe not in Numbani. It's usually somewhere else, but maybe you do that on Numbani for a few teams. The fact that SunSister get past that as well, even with their blunder with Mollis, not even with Mollis's triple on the Genji was good. It was the blunder from the rest of the team. So even with that blunder, they got it past the line. I think that shows a good sort of ability to still get the job done at the end of the day for SunSister. And the scary thing for Blank is they're not able to win with these sort of, I would say, out there compositions or when they start off classic. At the end as well, everyone went back to standard, Gumba back onto Anna, Trills back onto the Winston.
They stopped playing the new album, went back to the greatest hits.
Eat Up went back onto the Tracer as well. You forced that out of Blank. Blank were like, you know what, we need to change this up. We need to actually try and win this now. That never happened for Flash Wolves. Flash Wolves just 3-0'd. They didn't even have to do that.
Yeah, you're actually completely right there. And also, once again, credit where credit's due. You know, the fact that, this is going to sound a bit odd, but the fact that SunSister created an opportunity that they totally failed to execute on, and it was just one of those oddball things that sometimes turns up, right? The fact that they created an opportunity that they failed to execute on, and then later created an opportunity that they did execute on, actually does say that they can consistently create those opportunities. There's not this total failure to launch, which is actually a good sign. And it's a funny thing because we wouldn't normally get to see whether a team is good at setting up opportunities either way, because it's not often that a team sets one up and doesn't follow through. But we have actually had a window into that improvement. Now this, by the way, replay of right at the end here. So this is the other part where Eat You Up kind of earned his pay looking for the sticky. It was so unfortunate. I really
he missed this one, but I believe Gumbo actually got the kill anyway.
Well, and the truth is this kept the healer and DPS in the base, so they weren't able to get back out to the fight. And that's really what counted.
It's good team play is what I like out of that, because a lot of teams might not have done it with the two players, with the two heroes themselves. They would have gone for the solo Tracer play. If that missed, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't get the kill. There's a lot of time invested and potentially wasted onto that. The fact that Kiki was there for the insurance and they got it done no matter what, I mean, that's just good team play and good sort of cohesion behind both the players. And
good discipline, because actually if you look at who was coming out of the base there specifically, it was the Zenyatta and the Genji. Orb of Discord, one-shot dash from XQQ on the Genji, and you're actually completely right there. The Tracer would have gone down, and that is the risk of doing the solo play. So you're totally right.
I don't know about going down, but maybe he does, maybe he doesn't.
Maybe exactly.
It's just a time investment that might not have a payoff.
If you don't go down, you are going to have to recall, you are going to let those members out of the base, which is exactly what you're trying to prevent doing. So even if you don't lose your life, you will still have failed at your job in that situation. And even worse is you may actually lose your life there. So that's exactly the risk reward of that. But you're right, it is actually good discipline and also good team play. So it's good team play because of what we saw there, and it's good discipline to commit to the team play, where a lot of teams would just go, okay, let's commit one guy to kind of stop these members up, and it's risky and it's not necessary.
Yep, and there's only one more opportunity for SunSister to try and get themselves onto that board, and maybe get themselves a map win against Blank, which would speak volumes to them as a team. That last opportunity is going to happen very soon. It will be on Assault, and we will find out what that map is right after this break. And we have returned, and we're about to get into map number 3, SunSister versus Blank. It's going to be Assault. Technically and statistically, the worst game mode for Blank, but is it bad enough that SunSister can actually get a map win here?
If I'm not mistaken, Detonator got a map win here.
Yeah, but SunSister are still, or at least have been, losing to Detonator. So can SunSister do it?
That is a very good question, and that's, I suppose, what we're going to find out. And I think one of the interesting things in this is...
Because I want to get in the club.
This is their chance to join the club. Okay, this is a club we invented last week, and a lot of teams have now joined this club, and even now,
Fireball.
Yeah, Hong Kong Attitude were in this club after getting the win. I don't know if Machi have joined this club. I don't actually think they have.
Temple Anubis.
Oh, you're quite right. And last week, Fireball joined this club. Detonator have joined this club. We're now at the point where SunSister are the only team not in this club. This club is teams that have beaten Blank on Assault in a professional match.
With recorded evidence.
With recorded evidence.
You never get that last part. I don't know.
And
why,
I'll tell you what.
I don't know why you missed out the recorded evidence.
I'm sorry. And there's actually a slightly more exclusive club, and this is interesting. This is one that Flash Wolves and AHQ aren't a part of, and that is teams that have beaten Blank on Assault in a professional match with video evidence and have failed to win the series. So that's actually most of the teams.
That's like most teams. You're right.
Yeah, except for Flash Wolves. So Flash Rolls aren't actually in that club. Because the only time...
Flash was in a much more prestigious club, which is we have 3-0'd everybody, and we have 3-0'd everybody since week 4. I'm serious. I checked the stats.
Wow.
They've not dropped. Not only did they just win, they've not dropped a map since that loss to AHQ in week 4. From week 5 till now, not even one map they've dropped. That's crazy. That's a one-man club. It's a lonely club, but it's an impressively lonely club.
That's a very impressive club. But in any case, SunSister looking to get their membership into a different kind of club here tonight. They want to order that sandwich. Yeah.
Watercress blank special. Yeah. And it's going to be on Volskaya as well.
I've always wondered like who came up with the specific idea of like, this is a club sandwich. Like it is different to other sandwiches. It is specifically, because like I've always felt like a sandwich is a very loose definition. It's like 2 pieces of bread related product with something in the middle. And like even that something can be a little bit vague, right? But like specifically club sandwich, like who is imposing this tighter regimen on a sandwich? Like some people consider a hot dog a sandwich.
Not too sure. Subway sandwich maybe? It's all sort of in there. It's all in the very loose definition of the term. I do want to sort of... What is that?
This is deeply... It's the second time now. This is deeply entertaining.
It's taking the slide off the side of Volskaya. So here's the interesting thing is...
Ice fishing.
This is a good test, the best test for teams wanting to run Sombra. And we know already Blank like to run the Sombra. They do this very often. Maybe better than some teams, maybe worse than some teams, up for debate there. SunSister have tried this a couple times, I believe, to very, I would say, mixed results. So
yeah,
this is kind of, I would say, a little bit of an insurance policy for Blank, because I would say this is their best assault, and their worst is easily Hanamura.
All right, I'm going to give you $5 if XQQ gets a headshot on Trill while he's invisible.
All right, well, I won't give you anything if that doesn't happen.
No, I'm not making a bet here. I'm just saying, like, that would be entertaining. I don't know why I'd give you $5. Like,
I'll take it, but I'm not willing to give it.
I should really be giving XQQ $5 if he does that, because that would be impressive.
PayPal it right to him.
I'm just waiting for it, eh? Like, just take a random shot and just see if it pays off. By now, they should have noticed, by the way, that XQQ isn't with the team. Oh, but
this is actually, so what I like about this composition from SunSister is they're looking for ways to be able to get those not easy picks, but those big single pickouts. And if you get that on someone like this,
hey Macarena,
suddenly you get a good victory condition here, because the rest are Blank without the Sombra. I don't know.
Yeah, and that was a hugely important 1v1 for Models to win, and also has this health pack way out the back that has not been hacked. XQQ unfortunately getting picked off, but honestly SunSister should be able to still get themselves onto this one. Trilla's only just rejoining the team. EU up is in a lot of trouble here.
Someone took his health
there
back.
We go. That's a nice one there, Odinkin.
He missed the health
to close
back.
that one here. He does unfortunately miss the health back, but Elu trying to make some space is going to be able to get away from this. Odinkin set to clean up, and actually SunSister, they do look quite poised to get this first cap through, even as Gunba is holding on the point. He should get shut down here in a moment. He's just sort of trying to buy time for Trill to respawn and maybe get some extra DPS in there, but that's still a bit of a gamble.
That was actually, you know, for SunSister, they didn't actually fulfill their original plan, which was maybe XQQ kills Trill. Maybe XQQ just killing anybody. He didn't really kill anybody, but because he spotted out Trill, and because Trill decided to commit onto him, Zepman used that as an opening to kill Trill, and that kind of snowballed everything in SunSister's favor, and also prevented the EMP, which was huge.
Yeah, and funnily enough, the other thing that happened there as well, so Trill committed, and Gunba went with him, so they'd already kind of forced XQQ out of position. Yeah, great sleep, Trill out of the picture despite that EMP. Good pulse bomb! Never mind everything that was just going in favor of SunSister, because that has completely swung the fight on its head. SunSister getting routed, and wowee.
And that was it was a little bit awkward from Blank, because I didn't really see who the EMP caught. It was a very aggressive EMP, and when I say aggressive EMP, I'm talking about the kind where it's not easy to follow up on. Teams cannot easily follow up on that. It was on the top left area. Unless you got movement abilities that can get you up there, you're not taking advantage of the EMP quite easy. So didn't like the EMP. They still won the fight off a huge pulse bomb, but Trill died immediately after using the EMP, so it went very sour for Blank quite quickly.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Now going to be the commit further forward now. I don't know if that boost actually landed on Zetman. I can't see who that is. Like, there we go. Odinkin. That makes a lot of sense. Self-destruct though. Everybody duck and cover. No one died. It's great. SunSister, they are lacking Night Owl. Unfortunately, Elu getting finished as well. This is now very dangerous to them. They're lacking healers, and now we see the tanks getting closed out on, so this will be Blank starting to overwhelm them.
SunSister need a third here. A third would be really good. Shutting down AVRL would be huge. No, that's not the way you do it.
Yeah, that's the opposite of shutting him down. And they pick off XQQ for good measure. Honestly, I don't know that AVRL necessarily needed to commit that. I mean, SunSister had kind of lost that fight already because the defense respawns, but hey.
They actually got a lot of mileage there, not in the terms of progress, but they got a lot of kills, which they should have tried to, hopefully, you know, in a better situation, they would have gotten a third out of that. And AVRL coming out, not being shut down prior to the Dragon Blade coming out, at least it was a good force on the ultimate itself, which gives SunSister a little bit of breathing space, but they will be playing into EMP. Again, now XQQ is going to go onto the McCree, and if he can catch up with Sombra early, or even AVRL with a flashbang, that could be all they need.
Good heavens, would you look at the time. I'm really looking forward to this, actually. I do quite like XQQ.
I recommended he did this anyway, so I'm glad he's doing it.
He heard you. He heard you.
And he wants that $5.
Yeah, he didn't hear about the $5, so, I mean, it's still possible. He can still get a headshot on the invisible Kiki, actually. Sorry, it's Gunver. I don't even know what's going on. It was Trill formerly, but this is the opening up that Blank need there with that bomb. And it's all downhill from there.
It's unfortunate. SST at least save all of their ultimates. They lose a lot of members. Is that 6 kills or 5? Either way, it's huge.
Zeman got out alive, but he went
number.
on to that Discovery Channel show.
Oh, right, exactly. So Blank still pick up a decent number of picks there. SunSister just sort of biding their time, charging all their ults. They want to come in for one really huge fight here. It's going to be difficult. I think now would actually be a good enough time to push. No EMP, no ults on Blank side. Got to get past AVRL, who's about to hit the Dragon Blade. Trill with the Primal Rage is going to stall, so that's something they have to consider as well.
Yeah, but luckily SunSister do have a good amount of mobility. Unless XQQ gets aggressed upon, they should be able to survive any kind of displacement. Zetman already getting low. Great catch on a Trill, but unfortunately losing Zetman, who failed to ult there. XQQ, the second headshot onto AVRL now. He's just trying to one-man army this one, really looking to open the way here. Mollis looking to commit now. They have an opportunity, and they probably should go. Zetman will be able to rejoin the team in a moment here. They can get one more pick right here, right now. That would be a great thing for them.
This is too slow. I want them to get a little bit more aggressive because they get the 2 kills, and now they just let Blank respawn, and with ultimate, so all of this advantage that they had starting to fade away again. This is the story of SunSister. It's really unfortunate. If they lose...
That was a nasty, nasty hack. That was absolutely phenomenally landed.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones that locks out all your files and you got to pay them to get it back. It's pretty nasty.
AVRL. Overcommitted, flashbang, shot down. Now they actually do have, once again, a window here.
And they've got 6 ults.
Yeah. They will have to wait for Odekin. Oh, this is a nice start.
Too early.
Okay, it is early, but what it does do is create space for Zetman to die, but he needs to take advantage of that. He's just chilling. He's just biding his time here. SunSister, where are your cojones?
This is kind of what I'm talking about. They need to be able to move a bit quicker, get a little bit more aggressive.
Now
they're doing it. Now they're getting these kills. You got to get a second one, though.
Nope, let's just put that
somebody's
got
to get a second one. Somebody, please. There we go.
Surely. Oh, there we go. Oh, all right, there we go. Now Zetman committing to the rest of this fight. But honestly, this is where the respawn advantage can start to overwhelm you. They need to get the displacement here so that they can at least get themselves a third. The EMP, you're right, doesn't actually do anything here, but the respawns are coming in anyway. Look, SunSister still have not got this third. XQQ is still walking his way back towards this fight. Trill is stalling out for so long. Mollis has gone into the retreat, and they just give it up.
Problem is XQQ dying in the middle. They need him for the damage. They need him to land those headshots. Like, just don't even count the fact that he's DPS. Like, that's a big deal. But he's also just their best player in general who does get the majority of these kills. So him just not being there, you see him walking back from the respawn room. EMP coming down or not, the reason the EMP wasn't good is because there's just not enough Blank members to take advantage. But honestly, SunSister, they weren't getting the kills either, so for both sides it was a little bit awkward, and Blank were eventually going to respawn, and SunSister weren't going to do that in time.
At this point, maybe they should just like put a Bastion up on that moving platform.
Actually, I mean...
We all did that in beta, and it works.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. SunSister, what I like from this composition now is they're heavily trying to get the pick, specifically on the Sombra. Now, they've gotten picks before, but the biggest problem is they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, they're so busy trying to kill the Sombra, they actually don't take advantage of the other picks they get, and now they're just getting absolutely swept.
That was a good EMP.
That was a fantastic EMP. It connected 4, actually. It connected 4.
Well, the best part is it was in a sort of area where Blank were able to contest right away. They were able to collapse directly on top of the EMP the moment it came down. That's not something they've been able to do on a lot of the other EMPs. The first one, right on the top left, not a lot of people can actually get to that. The second EMP that I saw anyway, Gumba came out of small. He was like one of the only few members alive. just wasn't enough Blank members anyway, but they've made it work so far. SunSister not even getting that 1/3 is a big problem.
And now it is back up for Gunber. He's going to get himself topped off. XQQ needs to be topped off already. SunSister, not even sure if they're powered up once again. It's going to be Odinkun. He's going to pull the sword out for a few moments. Starts with RQT. Hack goes down. Let's see what else he gets. Good catch. Actually, ATAR picked as well. This is now their opportunity. They have to really go here. I mean,
that's a lot of
even
kills.
Just because it's an overtime. That is a huge number of kills. That's the full wipe there. Just short of the gong sounding. And now Gunber knows he can't trigger onto this point as alone. He's going to try anyway. RQT gets picked. Pulse bomb is wide. Eat-up doesn't find it. Actually, that's a lie. He does get Odinkun, but it doesn't matter. They can't really contest this one just yet. Waiting for the extra respawns, but a good pick onto ATAR. They can close it out right here, right now. They've got them all through. There we go. SunSister, you did it.
And the final hour as well, 15 seconds left to go. Somehow Blank just dropped everything. SunSister coming into the overtime. They didn't lose XQQ early. They didn't lose anybody early. Odinkun went down kind of awkwardly. I kind of feel like the pulse bomb shouldn't have killed anyone because Eat-up completely missed that one.
Odinkun's just like out foppishly.
Odinkun's kind of like mine. I'll take
You know what
that,
it was like? It was like a U2 record where he's like, there, take it.
And there was a single U2 fan there was like, yes.
Yeah. Odinkunn loves U2.
I will take that back home with me to Japan. But
on my face, Bono.
But it was a little bit awkward that he died to that because it was rather telegraphed and it missed. Yes. Second to that though, it was good pickouts. I mean, we kind of said like, I like the fact that they are trying to get this sort of composition going where they're specifically trying to get maybe the Sombra, maybe even Eita jumps in as a Genji and they just pick him up with the hook, a flashbang, anything. A flashbang leads into a hook as well, so it's a good sort of 1-2 punch combo. They eventually get it across the line because they didn't lose their main DPS.
It's one of those things as well, it's similar to what Blank actually did on attack on Numbani, where they had this idea of a win condition and they were actually so tunneled on that, they didn't take advantage of other potential win conditions. And here's the thing, right? We so often see teams get it in overtime, especially teams like SunSister, some of these teams, right? You even touched on it. There were a couple of opportunities, one notably so, where they just needed to go. They just needed to commit, but they didn't. Thing is, in overtime, you have no choice but to commit. So if the problem is you're not committing when you should, honestly, overtime kind of forces the issue and that stops being a problem because you're going to commit anyway.
And that's just something I've seen from a lot of teams. They just fail to commit, and then somehow in overtime they get it. It's not just SunSister. A lot of teams we've seen, even in the OPC, professional level teams, fail to commit, and then into overtime they win. They're an overtime winning team. Fireball's actually a great example of that. Actually, they're exactly the team that gets spooked, and then suddenly in overtime they're like, let's go, and then they win.
They have no ultimates. The enemy team has 6 ultimates, and they go in overtime and they just win. That's the Fireball effect.
Conversely though, Blank, for some reason, is the opposite. They're the only team that really scramble in overtime. Most teams get very good in overtime, but Blank seem to have this sort of thing where they kind of scramble, but I don't know,
This is
maybe
funky.
they fixed that.
Sombra and triple DPS. I think this is the most volatile team comp I've ever seen. And unfortunately, they've already lost the Sombra. They've already lost the single tank. Elu gets picked off. Odinkun routed out. The defense crumbles like the walls of Jericho.
XQQ was even playing the Ana there. I mean, you didn't even put... He's normally the Sombra player, and I think that speaks a lot. Cool, you put Night Owl on there, that works. But I don't value the second I don't value the second healer here. I value having the second DPS instead.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? I mean, normally you take off a healer and put on a Sombra. You don't take off another DPS, you know?
If you do that, put XQQ on the Sombra.
And that's the thing. I mean, even if they didn't want to put XQQ on the Sombra because they want to get used to having their healer on the Sombra, then putting XQQ on a healer, I mean, this is odd. Good headshot onto RQT will probably stop this one up, but honestly, Blank looked like they may just commit anyway. Ilios going deep, picks off XQQ, and it doesn't matter that RQT is dead. They're like, RQT who? And they just commit to the fight anyway. They absolutely sweep up SunSister. Ahuti? Make him sound like an owl. And now they're all over this point. The respawns are trickling out, and Blank... Boom goes the dynamite.
Wow, that was explosive out from them. They're actually not quite over just yet because XQQ's even running out into ultimates. Unfortunately, they do close it up fairly a lot quicker. That is one of the quickest Volskayas I've ever seen in my life. I don't know about you.
We were barely there.
What was interesting is XQQ did bring out the Widowmaker at the end. Now, I'm not for or against that. In fact, I think it's okay. He was on Ana anyway. He was always going to change, so he changes into the Widow. I'm okay with that because, look, if you can get the opening pick, which he did, great. But then you need to change off.
And they did have other DPS.
Because you get the opening pick, you give yourself a player advantage or even just even it up because both teams lost one. Now you got that pick out. You're not going to get much else here. I don't expect him to get much else, and he didn't. That's when he should have gone the stop off. Get the pick, immediately go back to spawn, get something else up, bring out something quick maybe.
Something mobile, Genji, or heck,
Soldier's
even
fast.
Soldier,
Soldier sprints out.
because
so
of
that.
because of the sheer DPS, and that's the thing, right? It doesn't matter that you give up ult charge. Like, what in particular is that Widowmaker ult actually going to do for you? I mean, the attackers are going to attack. You don't spot out a whole lot anyway.
So what I like is, you know, you don't have a lot of time there. You know they're coming in with a big advantage. You know they're coming in with a lot of momentum. You're likely to lose in the default neutral 6v6. You're just not favored to win. So how can you swing that back around? You bring out something like a Widowmaker that if you do get that one headshot, you are guaranteed that kill. It's an explosive hero with a massive peak. And XQQ is a player of peaks and troughs, and when he gets that peak, he gets the kill. Now that's how you even up that disadvantage, but then you got to do something else and actually change off. And that's the second half that he didn't do.
Yeah, well here we go now, Blank. They only have to cap a third to secure the second home.
An interesting hiding spot. It works though.
Just completely caught him by surprise. It's like, oh, they're all here, guys. They're all here. They've actually managed to trade back some kills despite that. They are going to get cleaned up here. That's not too unsurprising, but honestly, Blank, credit to him for actually getting some trades back, and even Chill getting his counterpart on the back end of that. SunSister will be able to regroup.
What was hilarious is Ida managed to get a full clip into Zetman before anyone even noticed. And then, seriously, if you sort of see that he's just like, here's a Winston, he's AFK, get a full clip into him, and then suddenly Night Owl's like, hey, there's a trace asleep.
Guys, they're here already.
Did he have 4 blinks? Wow, how did he do that? There's no way he does that in 3 blinks.
That was fast. Well, speaking of fast, XQQ's out of the picture. Elo as well. Night Owl. Let's just get the full rack of him. Mollus is dead. Odin commits the
that
EMP and
he
promptly
should have
dies.
saved. He should have saved.
Zetman's the only one alive. No gong will sound because XQQ did respawn. Zetman gets to ult as well. Blank aren't even on the point just yet. Here we go. They're going to clean it up. They're going to get a third through any minute now.
I need to correct myself. I said Odin should have saved. I was expecting a second cap. They only had that one cap. So realistically, yeah, then he should have used it. So he did use it. Obviously, nothing really came out of it. Just a little bit unfortunate.
That was deeply entertaining.
That was different. It was different.
There was that defense strat. That was exciting. It worked. That was exciting. And then SunSister got absolutely steamrolled. That was exciting too.
One of them getting steamrolled is very exciting for you.
Well, you make me sound so heartless and cruel. But in all fairness, like, it was like they finally, after a couple of members died, they regrouped and they're like, all right, guys, good start. All right, maybe we can actually do this. Maybe we can hold this out, go to Golden Point. And then, like, it was just like one by one, Blank systematically picked them apart on that second attack on I suppose, the second defense for SunSister. I mean, it was time bank.
Time bank
second attack on that time bank, Blank just, like one by one, just like you're gone and you're gone.
Let's actually talk about that result on Volskaya here. I'm going to ignore the 3-0 scoreline for a second and just really look into what actually happened to the game, because SunSister's best result is actually on Volskaya. They didn't cap out Numbani. They didn't even get a single point percentage on Ilios, but they capped out Volskaya.
They actually did. You're completely right. And when we talk about, you want to have something good in your back pocket coming into the relegation tournament, that's the thing, right? How often do teams, this is how Blank have often lost, in fact, on Assault, is getting completely held out, especially on that second point. I've seen Blank hold out teams on first point Volskaya. I've seen AHQ first hold SunSister on Volskaya, right? This is actually a significant victory for SunSister. Yes, they lost, you're completely right, but this is their best showing yet. That is very important because, like we said at the top of this, SunSister want to show a concrete sign of improvement, and there it was. You just saw it.
And they actually did it in a scenario where it's not like, Blank could go running, they're doing Aristas again, they're doing a bash. No, they ran a proper thing. Gumba played Sombra. He's the normal Sombra player. Everyone plays DPS, like Atar plays the Genji Soldier, whatever it is. Eat plaid the Tracer as well. RQT was on the Lucio. This is the normal, true to Blank's regular defense strategy, and they did that. But SunSister still came out of there. The biggest way they won wasn't like, we got a third, got a second third, got your third. They just went in on 0% into overtime. They capped it out.
Yeah.
in one fell swoop. That's not an easy thing to do.
It's actually not. And I mean, as much as we can say, oh, you really should have committed before the overtime, I mean, look, if it works, it works. And as well, we're saying, you know, if part of your problem is an unwillingness to commit, well, the overtime, it removes that factor altogether. It forces the issue. You can't not commit at that point. So if your issue is you don't commit, well, that's going to make you commit. And it's actually a good thing that when you do commit, you get it over the line. That is actually a big confidence builder, because hopefully in future now, SunSister, on top of just having their best showing yet, can actually look at this footage. They will go back and watch this game and they'll go, here's 3 other opportunities where we could have committed. Let's learn how to identify that in our games in the future, knowing that when we did have to commit, we actually got it over the line. And then I hope that the next time I get to see these guys on Assault and I see them going, here's what they've got a window, I hope they commit. I hope they actually do.
What's interesting is you look at this sort of situation, teams getting it over the line only in the overtime. How many teams could improve if they could take that mentality and take that sort of, I don't even want to say aggressiveness, it's more about understanding when and how to commit and you know what that really does for your team, and then apply that across the board on all of their fights. This is an interesting moment because this is when they picked out Trill, which really snowballed.
Yes, and I didn't actually get a chance to, I sort of started talking about this, didn't quite get a chance to close it off right. XQQ stayed hidden initially, which was very smart. Then he did reveal himself. And when he did that...
Like a sneaky spy.
Yeah, exactly. When he did that, Blank went, we need to react to that. So Trill went up and tried to react to it. And then Gunba went up and tried to react to it. And then Kiki went up and tried to react with it. And meanwhile, the rest of SunSister were having a merry 5 versus 3 off in the room. Look, XQQ had already been pressured off by Trill. The other 2 tanks didn't need to commit. And what they did by committing was left their healers and other DPS completely exposed. That's why SunSister were able to clean up that first fight. So that was actually... First of all, a well-executed strategy by SunSister.
Well punished, actually.
Yeah, well punished. And when we say SunSister have been unable to capitalize on windows, look, their win condition was clearly, let's get a pick with the Widowmaker and go off a numbers advantage. They didn't get a pick. What they got instead was a numbers advantage in a different situation based on Blank's mistake, but they actually capitalized on it when they hadn't in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. They were able to bait out XQQ, and Trill took that bait, and it shouldn't have been Trill. I expected their Winston to do that. I don't expect the Sombra to go for that 1v1, and because SunSister recognized the mistake, or at least recognized the opportunity for them, on the saying it in kind of a good way for them, is they're able to look at that and say, okay, we're going to punish this. We're going to be able to kill Trill. Then you're going to move on to another member and start to snowball these fights. And I believe this is the overtime fight that actually pushed SunSister over the line.
It was. And if you were paying attention, by the way, to the kill feed there and how that was all falling, what was actually happening is they didn't actually go into that with an ultimate advantage. But every time they committed their ultimates, they were actually shutting down Blanks. That was what made it so significant. That was what was so huge about it. And some were even shut down without actually using ultimates. That is really, really cool. That's very well done. A lot of that was actually on Odinkun. The Deadeye did contribute to that as well. And in the end, the only ultimate Blank actually got off that connected, even though they'd already committed a bunch in the fight, the only one that connected was that pulse bomb right at the end, which was already in the respawns when they were trickling on.
And it kind of reminds me, I'll actually get to that later, because play of the game goes to Atar and to Ana, and I did sort of note, because Atar played a really good Ana on, specifically it was Ilios. I don't believe he brought it out again for the rest of the night, so I don't know about that, but it was good enough. It was good enough for Ilios. I don't know if it was the best. I think it's, you want to share the love around. You don't want to just give the eat up on Tracer again, because that would be too easy. So I mean,
I just give it to eat up on Soldier. Actually, he played D.Va briefly.
Who did?
Eat up.
Did he?
Yeah. On the same map. On the same map that Atar was playing Ana. But there you go. Atar's Ana was
That's your reps, you're right.
Atar's Ana was better than Eat Up's D.Va on that map, so he still deserves it.
He gets to play the Eat Up. He gets to play the vacuum cleaner.
But he did it. He didn't eat anything.
What a great name for a vacuum cleaner, by the way. Someone patented that. I eat you up.
I feel like there's a... I can see how that would be misconstrued, is all. But I mean, sure, maybe that's just a branding opportunity. Go ahead, you can have that one for free. Yep. I will sue you later on down the line for royalties, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
You get to see him on the D.Va, but you don't get to see him eat anything else. A little bit unfortunate. We're now going to go to the winner's interview. It's going to be with Trill, translated over by Serenity.
好，我这边有几个问题哦，因为今天你们换角换得非常的凶，为什么？
We switched our roles in our characters a lot today. What was that?
We went in today against SunSister just trying to have fun pretty much. Like, we just knew like we could like have fun against them, and like we just wanted to unwind a bit because we're gonna go into these playoffs and we don't want to like show off anything to the actual like first rules in AHQ. So we just wanted to have fun and just mucked around with our heroes and just did whatever. We just had fun.
因为今天是我们季后赛前的最后一天比赛，是表示说是想要在那个季后赛之前先放松一下，做一些好玩的事情。
那他今天玩得开心吗？
Did you have fun today?
I did, but I don't think Serenity was too happy about us, but it was super fun for me.
你要当欢。
他说他是觉得很好玩，但是我个人的话，我不太喜欢他们这样做。
OK， 那我想问他觉得在刚把他打温斯顿，你觉得跟他的风格比的话，他觉得有什么不一样
Gamba played Winston today. How do you think his Winston is like? His play style is different from yours.
I don't really pay too much attention to his Winston. That's like the first time I've actually seen his Winston. But I notice he suicides a lot. He just goes in and dies. So I guess he just suicides. That's different to me.
他说他不太了解冈巴的温斯顿，但是感觉好像有点自杀倾向。
那是他打几分？打几分？今天如果说是刚把的话，他的温斯顿。
How would you rate it out of 10?
Gumbers 1.
1。
好少分数。好，那我们再一次呢，恭喜 Blank 获得这场的比赛胜利。那下一场呢是 DTN 对上 BLK。那第二场赛事开始前呢，采访区呢有 Blank 队伍访问，我们把画面交给采访区。
You pointed this out, but are Trillin's Serenity really short, or is she really, really tall?
It's the heels.
Like, I was looking at it, like, even without the
heels.
heels, I think she was actually taller than the both of them. Like, you put it
sometimes Blank just got to rise to the occasion, and in this case against SunSister, they absolutely did.
Sure.
I think we're going to.
That is one interpretation.
It is. And they're going to be getting to, I hope, for maybe a couch interview with them as well. So,
yeah,
scuttling along to that one. SunSister's maybe even their best performance against Blank so far.
Yeah, and I would absolutely agree to that. And you pointed out this on Numbani. They actually did force Blank to play their stock standard team comp, the one that they are actually trying to hide. And you saw Trill actually talking about it just then. They are trying to hide some strengths, like I'd mentioned, right? And being forced to show that, or not necessarily show strengths, but be forced into a situation where you can't hide them like you're wanting to, that is actually quite significant. It says SunSister were playing well, Blank had to respect them. SunSister rose to this occasion. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite push it through.
Unfortunately not, and they are going to have a couple chances left. I'm not too sure exactly how many of the games we'll see on the scoreboard later on to confirm that, but the most important one for them will be against Detonator Gold,
yes,
which is why the next match against Detonator Gold, from Blank's perspective anyway, is important, because SunSister can use this as a kind of measuring tool to see how they stack up, because they're looking to get that win.
Bit of an odd kind of yardstick, but you're completely right. Like this,
it's the round robin one stick again.
It's the round robin one stick. The blank, like, measure your team in blanks. You know, and well, we're 0.5 blanks. You're only 0.4, so we're favored.
1, 2, 3 blanks.
Yeah. How many blanks does your team shoot? Like, I mean, that's just.
Oh boy. Well, we'll find out as we're going to head back onto the couch with Blank.
大家好，我是教练 Serenity。
Blank Esports.
I'm Arkady from Blank Esports.
对，那这也非常开心，今天能采访各位啊，各位即将进入季后赛了，对不对？那我想问一下，就是这个问题上好像蛮肤浅，但是我觉得想听选手是比较那种从内心的回答，就是从你们一路从自己的业余队伍嘛，然后一路玩还来到台湾开始打职业赛，然后这样一路还打到了职业赛最后的季后赛。想问一下两位选手有什么样的想法，还有教练
？Since from when we were still an amateur team without not being pro players, all the way to Taiwan, is there anything that you want to say or think about our journey here?
It's just surprising that we've made it this far, because back when we were playing in Australia, when the game first came out, there wasn't a very high skill level. The tournaments were just full of trolling, I guess, to an extent, and we finally started taking it more seriously, and we've just gone along the way, and I'm so proud of the team to be able to come this far.
就是从一开始的时候，大家还是业余的时候，游戏刚开始，所有的比赛的水准也都不是很高。那个时候在澳洲的比赛，大部分都是就是娱乐性质的，所以他也很意外说我们可以可以走到这里。
I didn't really expect to come to Taiwan or anything. I just mainly played Overwatch as a side hobby, because I was still a full-time uni student. So, yeah, I don't know. It's good though. I really like playing in Overwatch tournaments.
他也觉得是很意外。他起初玩斗争特工的时候，只是因为喜好。他正职的话，还是原本是一个全职的大学学生。 然后他很高兴可以来台湾参加比赛。
对，哎，那话说 A 塔好像是就是你们 Blank Esports 就换过很多队名以前，好像最早就在队伍里面的一位选手，对不对？
对，是的。
没有错。那我想问一下，就是你们觉得在参加这一季的 OVC 季后赛之后，有没有你跟其他一些队伍的选手不认识啊？平常会约出去玩，或者是平常会一起玩 Overwatch 之类的？
我们平常有时候玩的话，就是刚好撞到的时候才会一起玩。至于说跟其他队伍出去的话，至今为止都还是在忙碌在练习跟进步上面，所以
we don't spend a lot of time interacting with the other teams. Sometimes we meet them in games online,
就是
but
你一路
not
一下
very
你
often.
看在舞台上面在帮忙翻译的时候，你有说，虽然他们觉得很好玩，但是我是不太建议他们这样做。所以观众们其实也知道你是一个非常辛苦的保姆兼教练。
Everyone sort of all
你觉得你
classing,
这样保姆
they had
一路做
fun, but
过
you
来
didn't
的
think
心
it
路
was,
历程
you thought maybe the team should have played a bit more serious.
起初就是我因为我妈妈几年前中风，所以我在家的时候大部分也是照顾她，所以家事之类的活都做的习惯了
And also for-
所以来之后
for me is
他们那个
I've
毕竟东年经济
very used
第
to
一次离开
looking after my family,
照顾
especially my
所以
mum. So
有
I'm
些
really
事
very
情
used
就
to
是需要我做
having that kind of role within the team as well, looking after the team
好辛苦
and really
快哭了。好像之前问过类
looking
似的问题，
after
我
sort
想
of
起
the
来，听到有
home
一样
atmosphere
泪
and
腺
stuff
都快
like
流
that
下
as
来。
well. So
那我想问一下，就是你们在两位选手或教练，就是你们在 OPC 这段历程中啊，就是你们有感受到什么样的压力？因为我像每个队伍都有经历过低潮期嘛，对不对？那你们其实前段时间的成绩也是有点不太好。那想说，在你们在来台湾之后，不管是自己找了住的地方，电脑架起来，甚至到了比赛，到了现在打进季后赛，那你们中间觉得有什么非常印象深刻，让你们感到非常有压力的事情？
Was there anything in particular that gave us a lot of stress coming here? Anything related to Overwatch? Anything outside of the game, lifestyle, anything?
We got a bit of stress from when we first started losing, when we lost AHQ and then to Flashals the following match. So that was probably the most we've been stressful before, and it's getting better now that we're working on just improving and trying to beat them again.
还是表示最大的压力的受到最大的压力的时候是起初第一次输的时候，输给 AHQ， 然后接下来输给闪电狼，然后那段时间的压力很大，然后我们现在就是专注于就是进步这样子。
是。
Anything to say?
Not really. Like just I agree with RQT. Like the most stressful moment has been like facing off against Flash Wolves and losing, and like just learning that we're not really that good at all, and we still have like much more to improve on.
就是表示说，他跟 RQT 也是同意，就是第一次输给闪电狼的时候，让我们意识到说，我们也有很多进步的空间。
对，因为你当初是一个连胜状态，然后突然遭到100，直接斩断你们的连胜，想必当时选手们的压力都很大哦。对啊，那其实因为你们 Blank 其实一直以来在 OPC 刚开始的时候，你们就是团队默契算是数1数2的队伍了。对，那其实想问你们一下，就是你们觉得团队中的磨合，还有一些合作的意义在哪？就是一些训练的方式。
就是因为有一些英雄，就是他们的风格或是他们的，就是互相彼此比较合适一起合作。比如说Diva 比较适合就是。
So we look at
它
all
的
the different heroes
主要的功能就是去保护队友
and who sort of fits the different play styles. So for Diva, for example, you need to be able to play defensively, know who to protect.
进场的空间，然后需要跟其他的一些比如说闪光做一些配合，所以就
You
是
need to
要
be
训
able
练
to know who to combo as
个别
well
选
with
手
players
在
like
他们的
who pairs with Tracer
责
well.
任范围里面互相配合。
So who sort of combos with each other. I believe the question was, how do you, in terms of training, and how do you sort of focus on these sort of different heroes?
OPC 里面最注意到的选手，不包含女主持人哦，就选手而已。
They'd like us to pick one player that we think is the best in
不
the
一定要最强，就是你最注意的、最关注的。
Who do you have your eyes on?
From another team.
Yes.
Probably Bacon Jack because he's always shooting me in the head and my support teammate Gumbo.
他表示是培根，因为他通常都是培根在射他的头，跟还有冈本两个辅助的头。
感觉RQT 好像常常一直被收头，所以会对培根感到恐惧吗
Do you like?
Like I reckon I'm gonna say Bacon Jack too, because like when I was on Genji and I'm just like jumping around, he just like randomly one clips me and I just die. And that's why I like mainly got off Genji and now I'm Soldier. So thanks Bacon Jack.
就有一段时间，他那个 A 还在玩原式的时候，就常常就在墙上爬，然后跳来跳去，然后忽然间遇到培根就直接出来就 一个弹夹就直接把他秒了，所以他觉得他对这个印象非常深刻，所以现在开始玩4v76。
躲后面一点，至少有补包。对对对，我这样讲起来，突然好像觉得用这个基准去发问的话，每个选手都会回答说培根杰克，这个印象太令人深刻。对对对，那教练你自己觉得嘞
What do you think, Serenity?
我个人认为的话是季炯，
季炯
I think
季炯
Zhongyi,
他主坦的意识非常厉害，
He's
他可以
a very
为
good tank.
团队在看起来没有破口的地方制造一个破，就是他
Even when he doesn't see it, even when there's no
然后他的固定
opportunities,
的话
he's
都可以
able to
造成
find
一个让
opportunities.
团队进去的一个机会。
He always gives his team a lot of openings as well.
看你教练讲的好像很喜欢一样。
是非常喜欢。非常喜欢
It sounds like you like him a lot. He's like, I do,
OK， 那
actually.
没有问题哦。那我们可以看到，就是 Blank 一直以来走过来的实力，大家也有目共睹。就是一直大家都会把 Blank 就是你们的队伍当成是一个反派角色，你知道吗？
有点像那种魔王之类的。
对，魔王之类的那种层级。对，那这边也非常恭喜哦 ，Blank 你们是进入了季后赛，这样子要跟
Congratulations for making the playoffs.
争夺冠军这样子。那这边也非常开心的邀请到3位来接受访问。
Thank you very much to all 3 members of Blank to join us in this interview.
拜拜。
拜拜。
Serenity confirmed Team Mum.
It's got to be somebody, and you
That's-
got
that was my big takeaway from that.
You need to be able to. It's an important role too because someone's got to be able to look after everything, and it makes sense because he speaks a language. He's native to Taiwan.
Yeah.
He's the best suited to that. So I think Blanco a lot to
Ideal.
be able to
Yeah.
logistically get themselves across the line. in
Exactly. Ideal candidate for Team Mum. And interesting, actually, there that both RQT and ATAR expressed a similar thing that, they actually had to learn over the course of this tournament. And this is something we expected right from the start, given that before this, Blank have had a pretty much undefeated run throughout the local scene here, right? They had a bit of a wake-up call at one point in this tournament, right? When they started losing these serious games. But they are now awake, they are up, they're out of bed, they're dressed, they're in their Sunday best, and they do look ready to fight.
Oh, I mean, they still got to get in the car and get to work because Detonator are up next, so you're awake now, but it's not all over for the day for Blank. One more match now to complete their regular season, their final game of the entire 4 round robins. Wow, we've come all this way, 28 matches for Blank, 27 done so far. One more left to go. That's all going to happen very, very soon. When we come back, it's Blank versus Detonator. We'll see you soon.